Hello, I'm Marcus Railton and welcome to Series 3 of the Scots Care podcast. Scots Care is the only charity dedicated to helping disadvantaged Scots across London, breaking the cycle of poverty through services such as financial support, homelessness, mental health therapy, family support, advocacy, sheltered housing, social events and befriending, amongst others. In the new series, I'll be chatting with guests from all backgrounds, all with one thing in common: Scottish roots. Listen to the Scots Care podcast to hear their story. I'm thrilled to bits to welcome Daniela Nardini to the podcast today. She is the brilliant Scottish actress who first captured the public's imagination in the iconic 90s series This Life. I absolutely loved it. She starred in that alongside the likes of Andrew Lincoln and Jack Davenport. And in this episode, Daniela reflects on how that breakthrough role shaped her career, the ups and the downs. Now, this podcast was meant to take place with her at home and me in my home over Zoom, but the best laid plans of mice and men, as they say, and it ended up with Daniela running a wee bit late because she had to take her daughter Claudia to college. Cardonald College in Glasgow, which coincidentally was the college that I went to many moons ago. Anywho, she ended up sitting in the car park of Cardonald College on her phone while I was at home in my podcast booth. She was very open about everything. We chatted about period drama, riding side saddle, whether we liked Bridgerton or not, and then we also spoke about something I didn't know about, Daniela Nardini's art. She is a truly wonderful artist, something that she picked up and started during COVID. We spoke about life after this life, on screen and in the theatre, and we also spoke in depth about her biggest career pivot, which is not giving up acting, but sidelining it to a certain extent so she could train as a CBT therapist. CBT, for anyone who doesn't know, me included, stands for Cognitive Behavioural Therapy. Aside from that, we also chatted a wee bit about online dating, not Daniela's favourite subject at the moment, and we also spoke about something that is very close to her heart and always has been, Nardini's the Cafe and Aldo, her father. So let's get on with this, but just to warn you, there are a few moments of rather fruity language involved in this candid and honest chat. So please welcome Daniela Nardini to the Scots Care podcast.
Scots Care.
Hi, Daniela.
Hi, Marcus.
Thank you for doing this.
You're very welcome.
Now you messaged me at 6:30 this morning. Are you an early riser?
Was it 6:30? No, it wasn't 6:30.
No, maybe my eyes are going. I thought, I looked at was it a text or an email, and I thought, wow, you're up already.
I knew I was taking my daughter to college, which means I had to leave about 9. Yeah. Do you know what I did last night? I watched the Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche Wuthering Heights.
Oh, was it any good?
Well, I'd been to see the obviously Emerald Fennell's one the day before. Yes, it is. I mean, it's much more true to the book, the Ralph Fiennes one. Because Emerald Fennell's it's just sort of like a moment in it all.
So is the Ralph Fiennes one the older one? I keep seeing it advertised on bus stops. Is it the woman who played Barbie? What's her name? Oh.
I mean, he is divine looking. He's got these piercing eyes, and Juliette Binoche is really good. I mean, she does sound a bit French, but who cares? I mean, she's in the moors, the northern moors, but she's really wonderful in it.
Are you a fan of that kind of drama? Do you like stuff like Downton and maybe Bridgerton? And
no,
stuff?
Not really. I never watched Downton and never watched Bridgerton. I loved what's it called? The Emerald Fennell Saltburn. Saltburn. That's it. I loved that. So I was really interested to see what she would do with like a classic like Wuthering Heights. And I really enjoyed it, but I kind of got much more of the story with the Ralph Fiennes one. But I mean, that could go on for a week. I mean, there's so many. I don't know if I could handle the Olivier one. It's terrible, but
Well, I'd never seen Bridgerton before, and I watched that. I watched it this week, and I don't mind if they monkey about with who was the queen
No,
and
no, I don't
what
either.
was happening, but I did think it was rubbish. I thought it was like they've got a load of sixth formers in a room and tried to get them to write some kind of period drama. I didn't enjoy it at all.
I'm not really a period drama, advocate. I'm. It's not really my thing. I don't go in for it much, but yeah, as I said, I was interested to see that.
Have you ever done one? Have you ever acted in one?
The only really period thing, apart from on stage, is I did Mary Queen of Scots with Gillis MacKinnon, and I think it was Robert Carlyle did her son one, which I can't remember if his came first or ours came first, and it was with that French actress again, Clémence Poissy, that played Mary.
Oh,
And I had to lead an army side saddle on a horse. I mean, eventually they changed me galloping with my army into something quite static. But that was it really, with the corset and all that.
Could you ride at that point, or did you have to learn?
Oh, I'm terrible. I don't hate horses. I'm afraid of them.
Yeah.
And riding sights, and it was embarrassing because all the other actresses in it seemed to be like Olympic champions, side saddle and galloping, and I was like this big idiot, going, oh God, what's he doing? Like that.
A side saddle, what a load of nonsense, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I might have been okay with the, not side saddle, but
yeah, absolutely. Listen, do you know what I do want to talk about? It's something that I discovered that I didn't know about you was your art. And I must say, and I'm not trying to be ingratiating, Daniela, but I love it. I really, the vibrancy and the color, and it kind of reminded me, I was showing it to my wife, Becky, and it kind of reminded me of about 20 years ago, we went to Cuba and we went to this art market, and I bought this painting, this oil painting, which is really yellow and really black. And it's a kind of street scene. And I still get an awful lot of pleasure looking at it. I still find new things to look at 20 years later within this painting. And when I looked at your stuff, it kind of had that same effect on me. It's really...
Oh, that's very nice.
Oh,
I actually showed them in a gallery, and I sold quite a few, but that was a kind of lockdown project. And after that, I got involved. I did a course in a CBT to become a CBT therapist, and so I've let it go, but I'm kind of wanting to get back to it, especially because my daughter's very artistic and I'm watching her portfolio just kind of develop, and I really want to do some abstract, so I'm going to take a class in it because I don't quite know where to begin with abstract. But you know how some people just can get it, and I was looking at some of Tracy Emin's abstract stuff, and I'm like, how did she just kind of start and then finish there? It interests me, so I'm going to try that.
Well, were you arty when you were growing up? Were you good at it when you were at school and stuff, or what did it?
Art and English, those were my two things. But I hadn't really put. People say you should paint, you should, and it was just lockdown. I thought, well, I've got to do something with, all this time alone. Well, my daughter was there, but so yeah.
Yeah, some people, I think lockdown's such a strange thing. When I talk to people, they have such diverse opinions of lockdown. I think I found it that I've got a 7-year-old daughter now, and she was very, very young at the time, and so she missed out on a lot. And I found it quite hard. And do you know who I spoke to about it? It was Alison O'Donnell, who plays Tosh in Shetland. And she said she became quite depressed and really fed up. But then I've also spoke to some people that got paid 80% of their wages and had a fantastic 2 years.
I was doing this course to become a therapist, and I couldn't do this whole Zoom thing because it was all new. And I went, oh no, I'm going to have to halt it. And then I started doing the painting, and then I met my friend Sandra every day, and we went for a walk around Kelvin Grove Park. So I kind of got this. I was worried about Claudia because I think she was, when was it? So she was about 13.
Yeah, what was it, 21, 20? Yeah.
Yeah, so she was maybe a bit older than that. And I think, she missed her friends, but I sort of had to encourage her to get online. And I wasn't one of those, had to school her. I mean, I wouldn't have enjoyed that whole business, trying to get them through their homework. And she's always been quite independent, but I think she missed her pals. Yeah. But I was actually okay. So I painted every day, watched films, and went out for walks with two friends, actually. Probably, and then I remember the police saying to us one day, "Why are you sitting on that bench?"
Oh, really?
Kind of both went, and he went, "Do you not know what's happening in the world?" And I went, "What? Do we not know?" So obviously the bench was contaminated early. Oh my God, it was ludicrous, really. But
yeah, I hope you were 6 feet apart on the bench.
Well, probably not. But when you think about it, it's like some people got so ill with COVID, so it was there. And look what happened in Italy. It was,
yes,
and we were sort of held to account. I know these people say, "Oh, COVID is a lot of nonsense," and it wasn't a lot of nonsense. I think the world just didn't know really what to do. I'm not a sort of conspiracy theorist. About although conspiracy theories are coming true at the moment.
Oh, don't. Yeah, you can't think of one now that's just actually not coming true. The world's so bonkers, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah, I think when my dad passed away during COVID, not from COVID, but I think that's what I found quite difficult, in that it was during that time where he couldn't have a funeral and we couldn't see him. Yeah. And so I think and a lot of people were in the same boat and became very annoyed at the government and very angry generally because of that kind of stuff.
I think they just could have widened the perimeters for people. It just was so, luckily I didn't have that experience. I know someone whose daughter became paralyzed. She got a bug and she was paralyzed from the neck down, and the family couldn't go in.
Oh, they had my Lord.
And of the hospital, and sort of they put her beside the window. I'm like, oh my God, being in that position, and hellish, but
yeah, that's a nightmare, isn't it? Yeah.
Scots Care supports Scots in need across London. Your donation, big or small, helps us do more with our services. Head to scotscare.com and click donate.
Listen, I want to talk to you about acting. And when on the podcast a few weeks ago, John Gordon Sinclair was on it, and he was brilliant, and he was brilliantly Scottish and curmudgeonly, like most 50-something Glaswegian men. And I said to him, "Listen, I need to talk to you about Gregory's Girl, because it was such a big thing, but it doesn't define him as an actor in any way, because him, like you, are both two very talented actors. So I did want to talk to you about this life. Can I talk to you about that?"
It's actually been the rerunning on BBC 4, I think. I'm like, I wonder how much money I'll get for that, but probably not that much. But
have you watched it? Have you watched it recently? I haven't watched it in a long time.
No,
I'll tell you what. It came out just after I moved to London, and I was living in a flat in Islington with my friend Gregor, and we used to rush home to watch it, because this was before on demand, so it was still linear broadcasting. And I remember it was on it might have been BBC 2 at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And I remember actually I remember being out somewhere and getting in a taxi thinking, I need to be back. So, and it was such a big show at a time when Britain was very cool, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was all that, I think Train Spotting had come out during that time, and all the, Oasis, Blur, fighting. And yeah, it was cool Britannica, wasn't it?
Yeah. What was that like for you? Because, you won, was it 3 BAFTAs out of that? Or 2 BAFTAs from that show?
And another BAFTA. We're talking British BAFTA and 2 Scottish BAFTAs.
So what was it like being inside that fame bubble at the time? Because you had a portrait. Was it a portrait in a photograph in the National Gallery as well?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm single, and I went out on a bloody date with like an internet date, and he'd Googled the fuck out of me. And honestly, at one point he went, "So what's this about a family feud?" And I went, "I'm very sorry, but what the hell do you think you're doing?"
Oh,
Uh, so that with him. But no, yeah, it was crazy actually. I'm not sure I enjoyed it at all. There was elements of it, and then I was going through a breakup. It was when it kind of exploded into, when it went. I remember my brother coming down because I was kind of this vulnerable state, and he came down and he brought a couple of his pals, and we were going down Leicester Square. We were going was it up Leicester Square escalator, and people coming out. There's Anna from This Life, and like everybody just turned, and I was just like, "The hell!" It was, and then like Elton, we were suddenly getting invitations from Elton John, to go to his birthday party, and we were all startled because it was very quick. It wasn't. It was like a kind of explosion.
yeah, it was good. It was great writing, though, wasn't it? And I think I kind of, as much as I hated that it ended, I also liked that it ended because it had an arc and it didn't go on for, as the
Yeah,
Americans say, season and season and season and get
it,
incrementally worse.
they would have just kept. I mean, Tony Garnett was. I don't know. I think he got into some squabble with the BBC. I don't. We never really found out what it was about. That Tony Garnett was the producer, and he just. I mean, he'd worked extensively with Ken Loach, and he had and he did. What was the one Helen Baxendale was in?
Oh, I don't
The
know.
Cardiac Arrest.
Oh, yes, that was great. That was really good.
But
Yeah.
he just had really good taste, and now for a bunch of complete unknowns to be given leads in a BBC drama is quite unusual. And that's what he wanted. And, we weren't, the way he filmed it, none of us had marks. You've usually got to hit your mark. And the
Okay.
camera just followed us around. I mean, we were dreadfully trained after that. The next job we were like, what's this? What are these marks for? So it was very freeing as an actor. It was almost like theatre, and uh, the writing was just so on the pulse. It was cheeky, it was irreverent, and just had uh, we were really excited to read the scripts every block. Oh, what's happening to them? And particularly me, because I was always thinking, God, what's she going to do next? It's just
Yeah, because she was, I mean, Anna was such a great character because she was so brilliant and such a train wreck at the same time, wasn't she?
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting the way you talk about it because when Michelle Gomez came on the podcast, who, as you'll know, is married to Jack Davenport, she was talking about Green Wing in very much the same terms, in that the producers took a chance and allowed the cast to do what they wanted, and it turned out absolutely brilliant. Just like,
Yeah, she was so nuts in that.
yeah, yeah, she was. And do you know what? It launched a lot of careers because you got Ramon Tickerum and Andrew Lincoln and Jack Davenport and Tony Curran and yourself, and it was very good for a lot of actors.
Yeah, no, definitely. But the only thing was with me, I think people just wanted to somehow recreate that character so it was always feisty kind of women. I think they were less likely to kind of go for sort of a more vulnerable role, and so I kind of found that more in theatre.
Yeah.
But I found myself just getting, the writing was never as good, and I was always a bit like, ugh. I mean, obviously there were things. I mean, I did Faye Weldon's Big Women, which again was a very kind of strong woman, but that was wild. I mean, I think This Life kind of really kind of gave me the appetite to do things that were quirky and weird and just not formulaic.
Yeah, I said, do you think it's getting better parts for women over 40? I read that it was, and I said this to Sharon Small when she was chatting to me, and she went, "Yeah, they say that, but it's not really."
Do my finger isn't really on the pulse anymore. I trained as a therapist, and I've got a practice at home, and I just sort of see acting now as, oh, that's nice if I do a little part. I don't push, um, and things come to me, but quite small, and that's fine. It suits me, but I don't have that neurosis anymore. I mean, it's always, going up for a part. Oh, I wonder if I got it. Have you heard anything? Don't phone your agent. Don't. And I just don't have that anymore. It's evaporated, and that's been a blessing. So I feel like I'm much happier in my life.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was wondering that is it more freeing not to have that, and I suspect it is. So let's talk about that, because it's quite a. I hate this when the Americans use it, a pivot, isn't it? So where did that come from? Because you're helping people these days with generalized anxiety disorder and social anxiety and low moods, and it feels like there's more of that in our world than ever before. How did you come to that decision in your career?
It was always something I was interested in. I think that just psychology, and I was interested in the psychology in acting, and learning to love your character despite their faults. You can't judge them because you've got to be in there doing it. And I think that's why I don't really like actors that are quite mannered and technical. I prefer when I just get lost with them. But I just always was interested in becoming a therapist. Actually, it was always in the back of my mind, and so much happened in the last decade. I was talking this to my brother last night, actually, and I had so many challenges. My marriage broke up, and my dad died, and then I got breast cancer, and then my mum died, and then my really close aunt died, and like the whole generation. So I was just like going around, and the only thing that kind of kept me sane in all of that, I think, was studying. I don't think acting would have done it. I was so sort of emotionally all over the place that this focus was really great. So it kind of, it just gave me a great perspective, and also to go through a lot emotionally and then be able to sit with other people who are going through stuff. And I can actually say, look, I've been in this position. I know how it feels, but things can get better, and it's so I can almost reassure them in some way. But
yeah,
my preference is working with women and homosexuals. I do find men more challenging.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's something to do with the energy between a man and a woman, like a man coming to a woman for help, a straight man coming to a woman for help.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's some sort of kind of because men quite often, especially Scottish men, they don't want to appear too vulnerable, because that's difficult, and that's what has to happen in the therapy room. You have to, you have to have a supervisor when you're a therapist, but you've got to bring the shadow into the room, the shadows, the scary stuff, the things that you wouldn't say to anyone else. And I think men struggle more to do that. I think women have it as a kind of second language, almost just an emotional second language, so they don't have the same judgment upon themselves. So I find I get more tired with men.
Yeah, it's a big problem, isn't it? I think men don't open up. I mean, especially Scottish men. I mean, my dad was exactly what you are describing, right to when he passed away at 80. He was still wouldn't take any help, wouldn't open up. I think it's a shame. And I see it in my generation too. I see the women at the school gates and the congregating groups, and they are more likely to share things where the men talk bollocks about football or just passing the time, and never. I think this is a problem, that we don't talk about our feelings enough.
I think it's getting better. I mean, there's a lot about men and mental health, and and the suicide rate for men is huge. So it's definitely a problem. I don't have a son. I know that my brothers, my dad was a very emotional man. He was Italian, but he wasn't afraid. I just remember going to see the Champ with him, and the pair of us was like sobbing, and he was never afraid of talking about his emotions. But yeah, my brother's less so.
Yeah.
It's and you have to dig a bit. My Aldo says, "Oh, Daniela, you're like a bloody all these questions you ask." But I'm just interested. My daughter gets on at me as well. She goes, "Mum, why do you ask so many questions?" And I've got to rein it in. I mean, you're allowed about 3 questions with your child, and then you're just nosy. But
oh, I know. I had a conversation with my boy Noah, and I'm very aware of what he does and what he doesn't say to me at the moment. And I was trying to question him about his girlfriend, and I could see he was just cringing. And he went, "You're being weird now," and I don't want to. I don't.
weird.
Yeah, I don't want to be weird with my son. I worry about him because he doesn't say a lot, and I think I kind of overcompensate by saying, "Are you sure you're okay? What can I do for you?" And I think sometimes he's just quiet. That's all.
No, I mean, my daughter's in love. She'd been odd I said that to you. But she's got her first love, and he's adorable. But I don't hear much about what, I know she's a bit upset, and she will come to me if there's something that's bothering her. But yeah, she's much more private than me. I mean, I'm a blabbermouth.
Yeah.
And I've kind of always been like that. I've never really been afraid of talking about my feelings.
87% of homeless Scots struggle with drug and substance misuse. Scots Care offers specialist drug and alcohol counselling to our homeless clients to help break the cycle for good.
Can we talk about your dad a bit? Because Aldo, he was very well known, and for anyone who doesn't know, he ran Nardini's Cafe in Largs. And can you tell us a bit about that? Because it was and still is an iconic cafe. I remember it. I'm in my early 50s now, and I remember it from being a small child.
Well, it's not ours anymore.
Oh, is it not?
No. Well, my date.
Oh, did he's a better. I should have got him to do some research for me.
Number, and I'll get. You can phone him, and he can tell you about it.
Can you imagine?
You nosy bastard. I said, I can't Google you. And he was like, I said, what would I find about you? I mean, he had everything, because if you do a Google search about yourself, which I suppose everybody, especially an actor, has at some point had a wee look, their stuff goes back and back and back,
Yeah.
and all the silly things you've said, and so anyway, so it's not. It now belongs to Tony Macaroni.
Oh yes, yeah. They have restaurants in Glasgow, don't they? Is
that the guy's name?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Is it? It's not his real name, is it?
I don't know. Anyway, it's Tony Macaroni. I've never been in it once since it wasn't ours. Okay. I just drive past it, and I just think of my great grandfather, and the love and the work that went into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wonderful. We used to go down as kids, and it was like the ice cream factory. And I remember they used to give you greaseproof paper with like really soft vanilla ice cream, and that was a treat. And they had a bakery, they baked all their own cakes and their bread, and it was just nothing like it. And of course the ice cream, the Knickerbocker glories, and the position of the cafe, which was really 1920s deco-esque. Yes. Just looked out onto the Clyde, so you had this wonderful vista, and so it was a great sadness to me that it still is in a way that it's no longer in the family, because I just felt it was ours, but it went wrong. I mean, if you put too many family in there was a lot of them, and there was just family dispute. And but my dad, I think, was very sad as well. But he'd done a pivot as well. He exported Italian fridge, like shop fittings,
Okay,
these sort of
yes.
marble, stainless steel. So he had another business that was called Cough. And so he was out of the business. He was a very ambitious man. He was a very hardworking, ambitious man who really wanted to be a doctor, but his father knew that he was the sort of brains, and he thought, "You're not going to be a doctor," thinking. And so he sent him to Italy when he was about 18 and bought him a sports car. And I think he was there for a year, all expenses paid. And by the time he got back, he just went into the business. And, I think his father was clever, getting him in, but he threw himself into it. He was very passionate, and his funeral was like a state funeral.
When was that, Daniela? When did he pass away?
So we were talking about that last night. So 11 years ago.
Oh, wow. I bet you that's passed quickly for you. It's kind of scary when you go, wow, 11 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I was just, but I was also talking about, grief. I adored my parents, and nothing was really left unsaid. It was very, very unconditional love. So my grief was very clean. I think grief becomes problematic when you've had a strained relationship, or there's there, so I didn't have any of that. So, I miss them dreadfully, but
nothing left unresolved then. Is that kind of what you're saying?
And nothing horrible, like any kind of will or inheritance shit. We were just all very, none of us it was just, and my dad was very clever about that as well. He just went dit dit dit, all get the same. And nothing was, because you kind of hear about these horrendous squabbles about money, and it's disgraceful. It's usually because the person who's died hasn't been clear. I think you do have to, unless you get Alzheimer's. But yeah.
There's a quote by Polly Clark, who wrote a book called Ocean. She said, when something terrible happens to you, you don't march through the stages of grief. It tends to be chaotic and odd.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, in my experience of that is that's how, I'm not at stage 2 and I'm moving to stage 3. It seems to be all over the place. And then sometimes years later, I think about something and get really upset about my dad. Not because I had anything unresolved, just because it just washes over you in a strange way.
Totally. It's, my dad I think he bought the biggest house in Largs. It was like a Georgian mansion. It was absolutely derelict. And anyway, we lived there. He gave us the most wonderful life there. This river ran through it. That's the name of the film. And so we were just in the river, and my mum used to come to the door and like ring a bell, and we'd be all over up in the hills. And we had amazing New Year's and Christmases. And I was, I said to my brother, I just happened to be talking to him, I said, we had our quota of these wonderful Christmases with just loads of us, and they always asked other people, and it's a quiet affair now. And I just said we were lucky we had that, and we were lucky he bought that house. He gave us this amazing childhood. And yeah, so so I was in Largs, and I thought, I'm gonna drive up there, because they sold it and it's been made into separate flats, and they're built at the back. And it's like Nardini's, I've never been able to go. And I drove up, and I just it sort of just as twilight was coming, and I just looked in the window, and that was my bedroom. And I just got this, just feeling of love, more, and love can feel sad as well.
Yeah, it's strange. It's kind of nostalgia in a way, isn't it? That, but yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. It's difficult not to say, "Oh, I wish that still was," and just be grateful for all the things that we've had in life
Yeah.
that are good. Yeah. Can I, if I've got you for a couple more minutes, then I will let you go. I just wanted to talk about when you moved back from London to Glasgow and how that came about, and are you fully settled there, and that's now your home again?
Yeah. I was married. No, I wasn't married at the time, but I was with my ex-husband and we just had a baby. And he always wanted to retrain as a chef. He was in Oxford. He just never paved his way, and I mean, he's the most amazing cook. And I was just, all my, I'm a family girl really, and my family were up in Largs, and you've got this baby, and you know what it's like if you've got family, you trust them 100%. So we decided to kind of give it a go. So he would train as a chef, and I would have the baby and be able to be with my family. So we moved. I love Glasgow. It's just kind of the right. I did miss London for, I had my moments, but now I go to London to visit friends, and I'm like, it's lovely for a visit, but I don't miss it. You know,
Yeah,
I,
I get that. I feel the same. Yeah.
I think I've been able to do things in Glasgow that I wouldn't have been able to do in London because of the help I had with Claudia. I've never had a nanny. I just was very lucky. I had family.
Let me ask you one last question, because I think since COVID, how I define success and my own life's kind of changed, and as my parents passed away, and I kind of wanted to spend more time with my kids, and I just wonder how you define success in your own life these days.
Um, just a feeling of fulfillment and calmness and um, connection with people. And, I don't really have anyone in my life that gives me problems. I'm careful. That's probably why I don't want a boy. Well, that's probably why I can't get a boyfriend, because I'm just, oh no, oh my God, no. Um, so yeah, and it's funny because I was always like, oh, I'll be happy when I get a nice boyfriend, or I'll be happy when I get a good job, and now I'm not like that. I'm just like, maybe I will meet somebody who knows, and I'm really happy day to day, and I'm not making loads of money, but sometimes I fret about, like, I should have put more into pension, but hopefully it's health. Now I just think if you've got your health, you've got your wealth, and that's, you know, that is true, because if you're ill, I've got a couple of friends who are not well, and it's tough, especially as you get older. You're like,
Yes. Yeah. And are you, Danielle, are you completely cancer free and on the mend and fine now?
yeah. I mean, breast cancer in men. I think my breast cancer was a broken heart because I was so kind of deranged. I was so upset about my marriage. I was so devastated when my dad passed, and I think that's why I was just brokenhearted. But yes, but it, people tend to recover more easily from breast cancer. I got it very quickly, detected very quickly. So if anything, I say, to women who go, oh, I don't want, go, because it's that, if you leave it, it'll go right round your whole lymphatic system, and you're fucked.
Yes. Yeah. Well, do you know what to just go back to what you just said? The value. I agree with you 100%. The value of people not giving you pain or annoying you. I've that's top of my list these days. It's and I never thought I'd be there, but that's where I am. Yeah.
I mean, and you get it. I always say, like, my supervisor's great. He goes, that you've got the stick figure, and it's straight, but then when it starts to bend out of shape, and I know instantly when I'm going, ooh, don't know why. I don't feel very relaxed here. I don't feel very me.
Yeah.
I was trying to please this person. What am I doing? And I just don't do it. And that's being an actor. God, there's so much wank. Just
Yeah.
the whole. It's just like people blowing air up your arse, and it's just, and then when you're not doing so well, they don't care. It's,
oh yes,
it's just it's not the nicest profession in many ways, but out of it, the product of it is wonderful, but some of the goings on are not nice. So I'm free of that nonsense.
Well, it's been brilliant speaking to you. Thank you for being on the Scots Care podcast.
Thank you. I'm still in Cardonald College car park.
Wow. It's best college in Glasgow.
And it's not raining. So, yeah, best college. I'll tell my daughter that you enjoy. All right, Marcus, it was lovely to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time.
Love what Scots Care does? Help us spread the word. Share this podcast, tell a friend, or give us a shout out on social media. Like and share our posts. The more people that know us, the more Scots we can support.